Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat. Can I get a heat check, 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 heat check. Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check.
Hello SML, what's going on? Welcome back to a new season. First episode of Heat Check here for season 7. I'm here with my co-host Mad Bomber, getting ready to bring you some SML predictions and taking a look at the new season here. How we doing today?
Oh, I'm good. We got day 37 of week 1, so hopefully this week advances.
Yeah, still waiting on a couple teams, maybe just one.
Yeah, it looks like it's about 5 games left, so we'll see. Maybe they'll play, maybe they won't. But
I think we have a couple coming up within the next hour or two here, so hopefully we get it moving.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so looking forward to this. I'm thinking, what do you say we go around the league and talk about the teams and what we expect to see this year?
Let's do it.
All right. So first up, we've got AFC North, Ravens, Browns, Steelers, and Bengals.
The fun division.
Yeah. Ravens won the division last year. He played pretty well until the playoffs, and then couldn't get by prime. But he
Tough
ran
first
through
round draw.
Yeah, he ran through the regular season though. In what was one of the first seasons we saw the AFC North end up not all that competitive. So I think he's going to do it again. I don't think he added too many big pieces, too much roster turnover, but I could see the Ravens repeating. What do you think about the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule here. It doesn't look too bad. He does start week 1 with Prime, and obviously, he dropped out. Or did they play yet?
No, they're playing. I think 7:30 tonight.
7:30 tonight. Okay. Well, I'm still gonna assume that he's gonna drop that one. But after that, not a ton of rough games. He's got you in week 17, Dan in week 14. So yeah, I don't know. I think last season, NYT really kind of separated himself from the rest of the division, and so I can see that repeating and happening again. We'll see what happens. This division's been confusing in the past, but I would have to say the Ravens are the favorite to start.
Yeah, and I would say again, second place in the division will be the Browns. He's coming off a big win. He already played his week 1 game and beat up on two-step pretty bad, 42-14. Maybe he's found his answer at quarterback with Josh Allen. He seems to like him. But I don't think he's going to be able to catch the Ravens. I think that was early in the cycle where it was a division, and now it's going to be pretty much NYT running away with it.
Yeah, the problem for Woods here is just going to be that the schedules are too similar. The only game that's really different is the NYT has Dan, and he doesn't. But I just don't think that one game is going to be enough to really make up the ground that he's going to potentially need to make up.
Yeah. And then you got the Bengals. It's two-step. It's the Bengals. They'll be picking top 10 again.
A lot of picks.
Yeah, if this start was any indication of how it's going to go, unless he can somehow figure out how to score points and not throw interceptions, I think we're just going to see more of the same from the Bengals. The real wild card, though, is KJ. So KJ, straight off a 9-7 season, he started 0-1, a tough loss to the Jets in week 1, 23-20. What do you think about KJ repeating? Are we going to see back to old KJ or building on last year?
Well, he's definitely got more of a challenge this season. I mean, even looking at just the first 5 games, you hate to drop one to Latin there, but then he's got you, he's got Woods, he's got Lawyer, he's got DW. And then he has NYT in week 6, so it's not an easy start to the schedule. I know last season a lot of teams said that, maybe the reason for that was he had an easy schedule for the extra wins. I do think KJ sort of found his game a little bit. I noticed he was playing a very different style last season. It was much more conducive to wins. I don't think he's going to be picking in the top 5 again. I think we might be past that just based off of the improvements I saw. But it looks like it might be around 500, maybe a little short of 500.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 6-10 for KJ. I think he's going to fall back a little bit, playing a little bit tougher schedule this year. But I think, like you said, he built on that year, or he's built that roster up every year, and I think 6-10 is probably doable. He did have a favorable schedule last year, so that'll move us to the next division, which is going to be the AFC South. That'll be me, Prime, Coop, and October. So I've already started 1-0 with a 16-7 barn burner against the Texans. Not much on offense, but played good defense again. I think it's going to be the same as every other year. It's going to come down to me and Prime, probably a game between us. I'm going to give myself. I'm going to say I go back to second in the division. I think Prime's going to take it. He's going to have a slightly easier schedule this year. He's got Woods. He's got, I think, Matt. Actually, we have the AFC North, so we'll have all the AFC North guys. But he'll get Future. I'll get Dan. He'll get Matt. I'll get Paulie. Those are two tougher games. And I've got a really crappy stretch. It's like from week 5 to 12, I think. I'll have to pull it back up. Yeah, it's the Browns, the Colts, a bye, Eagles, Colts, Broncos, Washington, and then Miami. So we'll see how I can make it through that stretch, but I think Prime's going to take the division again. Speaking of Prime's team, he lost, what did he lose? Cameron Jordan, I think.
Did he finally retire? That guy stayed around for forever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he lost Cam Jordan. So his defense kind of, lost another guy to retirement. But
yeah, it looks like he did lose him.
Yeah, what do you think about the AFC South at the top so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely between you and Prime. I am interested to see how Prime handles losing some defensive pieces. I'm looking at the defensive line now, and it's really not that impressive. He still has Buckner, but I'm looking starting left end. I don't really know. I guess it's this Kamoko Teray.
Yeah, it looks like Teray and Floyd will be on the line.
Yeah, Teray and Floyd. I don't think either of them are superstar. It looks like Floyd is, but at this point he's pretty heavily regressing. He only has under pressure, which is fine. It's not a great ability. That was one thing that made Prime so difficult to play against. Was every play somebody was lighting up somewhere. The secondary is still going to be good, but without Cam Jordan, without the sheds on the defensive line, I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. I do think not coming off of a Super Bowl win, and then obviously with the schedule flips, I do think I can see him winning the division. But obviously you guys are going to be neck and neck pretty much the whole way. And we'll see once playoffs hits how the roster changes will come into effect.
All right. So then for the other two teams in the AFC South, both of them started with a loss. You had the Texans in October. He's actually, after playing him, his defense has improved quite a bit. Like every pick that he made seems to be coming around, and he was tough to run on. So I'm interested to see how that goes. He did draft a rookie with his first pick. Right, guy's a 73 overall. I think he's superstar dev, but he's only 89 speed. Week 1, I don't think he had a single catch. So, it's tough when your first pick of the draft is basically unproductive. And then you got Coop down there. Coop added a new quarterback. He just picked up Wentz last year. After one season, Wentz walks, and now he's got I can't even remember the guy's name. Sanchez. George
Pablo.
Sanchez, I think. Yeah. He put up some points, 24 points, but he ended up losing. Who do you think is going to take the top spot out of those two? I think it's going to be Coop again, but I wouldn't be surprised if that Texans defense can sneak October ahead of him and maybe even into the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with Coop in this one, just because I've seen Coop play a style that I think can bring him wins. His quarterback does look good. 93 throw power. His accuracy is 77, 82, 82. That's good enough. That'll also go up. 75 speed. He'll be able to move a little bit, and he's 21. So like this guy's gonna develop decently well. Obviously he still has Henry. We've seen his defense be very good. So I would just have a hard time picking against Coop, based on what I've seen in the past seasons from them.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Coop, but like I said, I think my dark horse, if I got like a long shot prediction for the AFC this year, it's gonna be that October makes some noise and maybe sneaks into that 7 seed.
Yeah, yep. I mean, looking at his schedule, it's not exactly easy for a fourth place team. Obviously, you guys play the NFC East, which that's 4 tough games right there. Um, he's obviously going to have you twice. He's going to have Prime twice. I see Woods, NYT, KJ. So it's not the best schedule to make noise with, but we'll see.
All right. Next up, AFC East. So this has been pretty much Paulie's division, except for that one season where Matt somehow won the division. I think it's going to be Paulie again. I know he said, oh, my guys regressed, all this. But that's every season with Paulie.
Yeah, he says that a lot.
Yeah, and then he goes out and he does the 13-3, 12-4 season and runs away with the division. And I think we're just going to see more of that this year.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes with Breida. Every game it seems like Breida gets hurt, and then that's like him talking about the end of his season. It's over, but he's got more than a capable backup in Naheem Hines, and I think he runs away with this division again.
Yeah, history really has shown us that that's probably the safe bet. Big thing to watch here. Matt starts out, 5 straight games in his own division.
Yeah.
Bills, he's the Pats. Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Dolphins, Jets. Good for EA on that one. That's kind of rough. So we'll see. Obviously, with 2 of those games against the Patriots or against the Dolphins, he could really get a stronghold if he could win both. But obviously it's a tall task. He's got Dan in week 6. So I think that Paulie is the safe bet here. But if Matt starts out hot, it could be something that could be tough for Paulie to catch up. So we'll see.
Yeah, he'll be basically done with his division within the first 5 weeks, minus one more game.
Pretty much the first third of the season.
He added Leonard Williams to the defensive line, which should help him a little bit, and then he added Bitonio on the offensive line. So he seemed to be trying to upgrade that the trenches during his free agency. We'll see if that helps. Maybe he'll get back to running the ball.
That's the big thing. Yep.
His week 1 game, Lance Camp 18 attempts, Drew Lock only threw 14 times. So maybe he's slowly moving back towards that run heavy offense. We'll see if he can get there. Camp had 3 touchdowns, so I would probably stick with him.
Hopefully he doesn't get back to that for when he plays against me later in the season. I have a score to settle.
Yeah. So teams were not worried about making the playoffs. We got the Bills. What do you think about Noel? Like what's going on with the Bills? He had a pretty high pick. I want to say he was top 15 pick. He took the Bills. Coming off, I think his last season in last cycle was like 13-3, won the division, and really it's been disappointing all cycle since with a team that he took in the top half of the draft. So, what do you think is going on with Noel?
It's really kind of a mystery to me. I mean, this is a very good team when you look at them on paper. Especially he added, Trevor Hartwig, which, solves the quarterback problem. His running backs are very good. He's got, Singletary is a 93 overall. And then he's got this 94 speed young guy. So he's got a nice 1-2 punch there. Stephon Diggs is a freak. He's got that tight end who's just an animal. Defense is good pieces. You got Trey White. So, I don't know. I guess maybe this just isn't his game. He just hasn't figured it out. Hasn't figured out what his style should be. I haven't seen many of his games. He seems to generally play his games when I can't watch. It's not a team that makes a lot of sense to me. My guess is he just never quite figured out the style of this game, and it's hurt him and cost him wins. Yeah.
Now we've heard numerous times during this cycle people have said, well, he doesn't have Angelo French, who was his X factor running back he had last cycle. Just looking at the one he's got now, though, Desmond Waters, star running back, 23 years old, so plenty of time to develop. 94 speed, 93 acceleration, 92 change of direction, 94 agility, 88 spin, 89 juke. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, 58 yards with him. But if he can get him a dev game, you could end up seeing another guy with spin cycle or jukebox or one of those abilities, and then we maybe will see Noel kind of make a push at the end of the cycle if he gets his running back.
Yeah, that's a guy where if he could spend this season just making sure that guy gets superstar or even X Factor, that's a team that could absolutely make a lot of noise next season in a generally winnable division. Obviously, you have Paulie there who's kind of owned it, but I mean, a lot of that's been with sweeping his own division. If you could get that running back, if you could build an Edens type guy, or an Akers type guy, or even your guy Hendricks, obviously with the spin cycle, that's something that could really help him, go into Madden 22 with a high note with our last season coming up.
Yep. And then the last team we have in the AFC East is the Jets, starting off 1-0 with a win over Coop. Speaking of superstar running backs, he drafted one. Marco Ellis. He's a superstar running back. He's only a 70 overall, so he's got a little ways to go before he unlocks that ability, but it's hidden anyway. Unfortunately, 89 speed, but his ability is going to be spin cycle when he gets unlocked.
Wow.
So you would think, if you're the Jets, you would probably spend time developing him, trying to get to 80 as fast as you can, especially with only, 2 seasons left. So Brenton Johns, the running back that's been there for a while, 13 carries. Marco Ellis, 5 carries. What are you doing? Latin did the same thing with Bates. He had this X Factor quarterback, and he sat him for, I don't even remember who it was, Dolaga or something for a little bit. I know he put Dolaga in on a goal line play. I think he sat him for Rodgers maybe for a little bit. When
he
Rodgers
definitely
was
traded for Rodgers. Yeah.
I don't. Maybe Latin just doesn't like to play rookies. Make them earn their spot or something. But Latin,
they need to show
that
out better in practice.
Yeah, you need to get him in there. He's already, other than Deontay Pierce, who had 1 carry, which he's a 65 overall rookie running back. He drafted 2. Ellis is averaging 6.8 a carry. Brenton Johns 6 a carry. Stick with Ellis. Just stick with Ellis. Get him up to 80. Get that spin cycle, and then see where it goes from there. But stop using the old guys.
Yep.
All right. AFC West. AFC West, we got the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. Broncos and Raiders both starting 1-0. Both with pretty impressive wins. Broncos was over the Chiefs. Maybe not necessarily impressive just beating them, but 45-13 is pretty impressive no matter who you're playing. And then Future goes in and he beats Meats 28-7. Looking like it's going to be
doors off of him.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be player of the week. I want to say he had less than 100 yards passing in that game because Meats kept throwing interceptions to him. The rookie
he probably
got
had 100 yards passing if you include all the ones that the Raiders took back.
That's true. So I think Dan's going to probably win this division again. Other than I think he's won it every season.
I'd say you're really going out on a limb saying that one.
Yeah. So he's won it every season. He did lose a game to Future, I think, last year. So Future can beat him. But Future's going to have to beat him plus not lose other games, which has kind of been a problem for Future. And every time he starts storming back, he beat Paulie in the playoffs a couple times, and then I played him in the playoffs, and it wasn't even close.
No, it was not pretty. It was an ugly one.
I was fully expecting it to be a closer game, and then I got bad Future instead of good Future. He seems to be one of the more kind of up and down players this season or this cycle. So we'll see which Future we get this season. But if he's on top of his game, he can definitely give Dan a run for his money. I just don't think he's going to be able to take the division.
Yeah, I think Future's definitely got a wild card spot pretty much reserved for him as long as he doesn't blow easy wins. This is an offense that is absolutely terrifying. He's got two running backs above 95 overall. He's obviously got Ruggs, still kicking at 99 speed. The defense has gotten older, so we'll see that if there's going to be one downfall to this team, it's going to be that. But I think Future's got a playoff spot pretty much penciled in. We'll see if he can kind of get over that hump. It was an impressive win over Paulie, but yeah, the game against you kind of nuked any impressive victory in that first week. So
Then we have the Chiefs. They're 0-1. It's the Chiefs. They're going to throw to, what's his name, Yates. I think he's already got 11 catches. So
gonna throw it to Yates and throw it to the other team. That's the two options.
So they're going to probably lose just about all their games. And then there's the Chargers, and we'll just go ahead and reschedule and talk about them later. So next we move to the NFC North. NFC North.
Oh, man, you dogged him.
Obviously,
Goodness.
we've got your Vikings, coming off a 38-20 win. Looked like Colt gave you a little bit of trouble that first half.
Yeah, first he just slung the ball on me. I don't know if the head was a little foggy over the cold or whatever it was, but my user play in the first half was horrendous. I would have like the middle of the field covered, and then I would just like bolt for the sidelines for no reason whatsoever. So I don't really know what that was all about. But Cole can move the ball. That offense is pretty lethal. He throws into some tight windows. He makes it work. Clearly, it's the defense that's gonna hurt him, as we saw. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully the defense. I lost a lot of pieces. Fletcher's gone. Eric Hendricks might as well be gone. He's on the field, but
I saw Harrison Smith left too.
He left like 4 seasons ago, so you're a little late to that.
He just retired.
No, he's been gone for a couple of years now.
Well, he's gone. So
yeah, he's definitely gone.
We do have other teams in this division,
aggression.
but it really doesn't matter. The only division that's probably more of a runaway than the AFC.
Figs
West
got his first win in like 3 seasons.
He did. So he's starting off hot. He played Tiny threw about 34 interceptions. And we'll get to Tiny because he had an interesting offseason. You got the Packers.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Mike kind of hovers around 500. Maybe he'll give somebody a run for their money, but it won't be you. He might sneak into one of the like the 7 spot or something. Fins.
I've been waiting for it. He gets close and then he doesn't.
He does.
But
he kind of fizzles out. It's almost like he doesn't want to make the playoffs.
It sort of does seem like that sometimes.
Then you have the Lions and Fins. I think he's our newest guy. He's kind of up and down. Can't really tell. He beat Meats last year, and then he loses 35-17. I don't know what to make of him, but he does have a pretty bad team offensively. Anyway, he's working with a Woods reject quarterback. He's got a rookie running back now. I think I looked at his box score from the last game. He only completed passes to 2 guys, and it was Wiggins and his running back. So he's kind of using that Colt offense where he's going to go to 2 guys, and that's going to be it. But if you look at Colt's record, it hasn't worked out too well. So maybe try to spread it out a little bit. But he did just let Golladay walk too, so that kind of hurts.
Yeah, he did get. I think I saw he got Allen Robinson, who is always highly rated. He's tougher to use because
I think he's like a 34 speed now too. So
yeah, he's slow. Still somehow sitting at 89 speed, but 89 speed for a receiver is kind of tough. And depending on his abilities, which I'm checking in a second, without route tech, it's he's got outside apprentice, which is okay, and deep out elite. So yeah, you're not doing much with either of those.
Yeah.
The extra hot routes are nice, but
and
Fins is a guy I would expect. His Madden 22 record is going to look a lot better than his Madden 21.
Yeah,
just because he does some things well, but this team is tough to work with, and he's coming in too late to really develop any of them. Yep. So he's just kind of stuck with it for now.
All right, and then the last team in the division is the Bears. Like you said, fresh off their first win in like 3 seasons.
On pace for 16-0 though.
Yeah, put up 47 points. Quite a bit of yards. Marquise Brown did pretty well. Dobbins actually had a good game. So who do you think between the Lions and the Bears, which one's going to end up with the better record this season?
I got to go Lions. Until Figs gives me further notice, it's Lions. Obviously Figs started out nice. He's got the win. But just gameplay-wise, I think Fins is just a smarter player. If you can kind of lock up Hollywood Brown, which generally you just don't press him, you can stop that pretty easily. So yeah, I'm gonna go Fins. I think Fins ends up third, and I think Figs brings up the rear again, at least not at 0-16, so that's a positive. And then, we'll see if Mike can make a push for the playoffs. We'll see.
All right. Next up is going to be the NFC South. This division's kind of funny because it always ends up close, and then D-Muse somehow ends up in the NFC Championship game. But no one else in the division makes the playoffs.
Seems to be a common formula.
So it's kind of weird how he struggles with his division or just winning the division. And he barely made the playoffs. I want to say it was like one game, just made it by one game. If he hadn't won his division, he would have probably been out. I think he wins it again. Future had a 2-game lead on him with like 3 games left and couldn't hold on to it. The Saints, I don't think really are gonna be any threat, and Field hasn't really put together much of a winning product on the field either. So it's D-Muse's division to lose, which he seems to try to do. And then he gets in the playoffs and makes some noise. So I don't know. But I think he's going to win this division.
Yeah, it looked like Future was going to he did make a push. He just did make a push last season. Unfortunately, couldn't hang. Yes, I don't know why I do that consistently. But yeah, it looked like he was going to make a push last season. Couldn't hold on at the end. I thought he was playing, his best Madden of the cycle. But it really wasn't enough. D-Muse, I think he started out with, a kind of a crazy reputation off that first season. Then I think it overcorrected, and now I think he's actually underrated. I know going into our NFC Championship game, it felt like everybody wrote him off pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
Which is not, you really can't do that. And he gave me a run for my money. I mean, he had me 21-7 in the second half, I think. So obviously he has what it takes to make a deep run. We've seen it a couple times. I think as long as he takes care of business in the regular season, it should be his division to lose.
Yeah, and that was last year without McCaffrey too. He ended up losing him. So
yeah, I was excited to play him without McCaffrey, and then his backup running back did the same exact thing. So
now he did move on from Russell Wilson and then go ahead and snatch him back up. So
he's very indecisive with Wilson. I've noticed that.
Yeah, the 85 throw power is tough, but
yeah, it's bad.
But that division, I mean, we kind of write off Lawyer because he hasn't done anything this cycle. He gave RD a run for his money. He lost by 1 point, and maybe he'll make some noise. He moved on from Gurley. He went to Yates as his running back. So we'll see if he can do something there. But 32-31, he almost got.
He's
RD.
one to keep an eye on. The NFC Wild Card, as always, is going to be tight. There's a lot of teams that can take it. Pretty much, 2 entire divisions between the NFC East and West that can take spots. So the wild card is not easy to get in. Obviously, when you're in the NFC South, that's a division that you really want to have to win if you want a shot at playoffs.
Yeah. All right, so next up is going to be the NFC East. Right now, they've only got 1 game played, so quite possibly the slowest division in the SML. You got Washington, the Giants, Cowboys have played their game, and then the Eagles. This division is tough. You've seen Washington and the Giants both kind of push for the division. Occasionally, Grams gets in there with his Cowboys, and then Clink has made some runs where it looks like he's a competent team and could push for that division. He kind of crumbles. He almost reminds me of Rowan, where he'll get hot and look really good, and then when he's bad, he's bad. But top to bottom, the NFC East is probably the deepest division. I wouldn't call them the best division, but they don't have a Figs, they don't have an October, they don't have a Latin or a Knoll. They have 4 teams that could make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I think it's going to be Washington's going to win it. He picked up at least one more tight end, and I think he got a receiver too.
I think he got 2 receivers. I know he got Brandon Cooks, and I thought he got
Cooks
one more.
Is the one I was thinking of. So I think he's
somebody else. Let me see. Evans. He got Mike Evans.
Yes, Mike Evans. So he added Evans and Cooks to a passing game that was basically Terry McLaurin and everyone else.
Yeah. Yep.
he let Aaron Jones walk, but I think he'd kind of given up on him. It looked like
He was using Gibson a majority of
he
last
used
season.
Gibson quite a bit more. So now you got Gibson, McLaurin, Evans, Cooks, Fasano, I think was the name of the tight end he's got that he drafted. Fasaro. He drafted him a couple seasons ago, and now he's added another tight end.
Yep, defense is still very good. This team's scary.
That's going to be a good team. I'm going to give him the edge just because he's probably the best team in the division, and he's pretty much won it every year. So I'm going to give Washington the win there. I think the second team will be the Giants. I think Rowan might be finding his stride, which is pretty much feed Barkley. That seems to work. I don't know. Who do you think wins this division?
I'd have to go Q as well. In fact, if I were to pick a representative that is not myself for the NFC in the Super Bowl, I'm taking Q. I think he's getting a little closer every season. I think now is kind of his time. Now that he's balanced out his offense. But this is a very exciting division. We've seen some big time swings. Like you said, in the standings, we've seen Q win it. We've seen Grams make pushes. We've seen Keegan, and obviously Klink has started to find a bit of his stride. I was looking at because Grams, we've noticed, has always been a little schedule dependent. His schedule stinks this season. Obviously started out with Coop, but then he's got pretty much almost the entire NFC West. He's got Niners, Cardinals, Rams all in a row. Then he's got Q. Then he gets Tiny. The rest of the division, obviously, or the schedule, he's got his division, of course. He's got Prime in week 12. He's got U in week 15. That schedule's just awful. So I think we could actually see him finish fourth.
Okay.
So I think it's going to go at the end. I think you're going to have Q in first. I think you got Rowe number 2, and then I think you get Klink at third. And I think all 3 of those top teams make the playoffs.
All 3 of them. Okay.
All 3 of those top teams in the NFC East, I think, make it.
Yeah, one thing
all 3 of them were close. We had 2 of the 3, and I think Klink missed it by a game. But he's got a very favorable schedule this go around.
Yeah, one thing we didn't bring up.
You guys.
Graham's actually added Travis Kelce too, so we'll see if that changes his offense. I mean, he added Mike Evans last season. That didn't really work out. Now he's gonna add Kelce. Maybe that works out. Still, he did get a corner too. His first pick in the draft was a corner, so he finally added a corner and some defense. I don't know if Kelce was the pickup he needed. Maybe I would have spent that money on defense, but for whatever reason, he didn't want to go after any of the defensive guys, which I don't think there were too many great ones. But we'll see. I'm surprised he hasn't maybe made some trade moves or anything like that to really get any defense. But we'll see how the rookie corner works out, and maybe Kelce ends up being kind of that missing piece to his offense.
Yeah, I know he's talked about, he hasn't had receiving tight ends. Personally, didn't really think that you would need a receiving tight end with all the receivers he's had in the past.
Yeah.
But, if he's somebody who likes throwing to tight ends, I know certain people really, I know Colt's one of them that loves throwing to tight ends. I personally have never been that. But, if a tight end helps make him more comfortable, we'll see. Maybe it's a piece he needs. Like I said, though, with that schedule, he's going to need the help. So, whatever helps him get over that hump.
All right. And the Eagles, Klink too, speaking of tight ends, he picked up the tight end I wanted in the draft. He got him at number 12. I think he's like an 89 speed. He looks like he's going to be pretty good. So if that's
I was looking at his stats, and he's pretty scary.
Yeah, so I think it is going to be a really tough division. I kind of agree with you though. I think it's going to be QP, Rowan, Klink, and then the Cowboys. So moving on, we've got the NFC West, which I don't know. Meats the way Meats got beat. That was pretty bad, and I don't know what team I really have running away with this division. I'll be interested to see Dump's game tonight. He's got the Chargers tonight, supposedly, as long as it doesn't get rescheduled again. Um, I think this could be Dump's season, though. He added DeAndre Hopkins. I think he drafted a receiver as well with his first pick. So he's going offense heavy. He's decided he can't play defense. You might as well just put up 100 points.
Put up 100 and hope to only give up 98.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense, I guess, because you can't stop Akers no matter who's on your defense. So you might as well score more points than he does.
Correct.
But I think it's gonna be Dump this year. Cardinals obviously look awful. Yeah, I think Dump wins the NFC West. Cardinals look awful.
Ooh, okay.
You saw all the interceptions that he threw to the Raiders. Yep. And we just talked about Future's defense is what's going to hold him back. Yet it carried him that game. And then you have Tiny. Whatever, Tiny's already got 700 interceptions this season. So, but RD lost Aaron Donald, which I think is going to be a huge hit for his defense, as we saw by a Lawyer being able to run all over him.
Yep.
So he does still have Akers. He's still got Tua. He's still got his offense that can score pretty much at will, but he's going to have to score at will because the defense is starting to get a little older. Donald's gone. That's going to hurt. Yep. The last couple off seasons, you've heard him asking for linebackers and defensive ends. So I don't think he's added too many that have helped out, and it may end up hurting him this season. So I'm going to give Dump the 1 spot, RD the 2 spot, Meets the 3 only because Tiny's that bad. Speaking of Tiny being bad, he just drafted what did we say on Heat Check just before, not this past draft, but the one before it? We said, Tiny, sign a quarterback, didn't we? In fact, I think we said Tiny sign Carson Wentz, or trade for Wentz. Tiny did not. Tiny didn't listen. He drafted a quarterback. What happened? That quarterback was not very good.
It was awful.
Yep. Which is, I almost feel like we said it on here. But I mean, this show's like an hour long. Nobody listens apparently when we get down to the NFC West because he did draft the quarterback. Quarterback was awful. What did he do this offseason? He spent another $25 million a year on Carson Wentz. So, but then he went out and threw 6 interceptions with him. So great job, Tiny. $50 million locked up in quarterbacks and still the same result.
But Tiny, you're great on Total Access. Keep it up, big guy.
Yes, whenever that show comes out, it's a good one. But yes, I have him at the bottom of the West.
That's a safe bet. Yeah.
So that's gonna do it. Actually, that's the entire NFL. We've gone around the SML. We've talked about every team. It's only 37 minutes, so this was a short show so far.
Just you wait until we have games to recap.
Yeah, we don't have any games to recap. But we could go over some burning thoughts if you've got anything that's going on in the SML or upcoming cycle that you want to talk about. I've actually got one.
You've got one. Let's hear it.
Just off the top of my head because we did not plan on this at all. So
I'm curious now.
This has to be the slowest first week for any cycle or any season. We advanced. What was it? Saturday night was the draft. I think we were done by like 9. And had we advanced on Sunday like a normal advance at 10 p.m., we would be advancing Tuesday. So it's a whole extra day for this advance, and it appears that we're going to end up using it. What do you think is going to happen for that next season if this season continues to be kind of slow and guys kind of dragging their feet? It's going to end if we were to somehow meet the pace of last season, 42 days, right? That puts us July 3rd for the Super Bowl. What's going to happen? I mean, if you think we're going to have to go to a 24-hour advance?
Yeah. I mean, I think it just depends on, how desperate we are for our last season. I do think that, I would see us pushing through one more and just trying to wrap one up quick. My guess is it would come at the cost of a lot more simulated games. But depending on who that is, I don't think that's necessarily a big deal. This is just one of those things that happens at the end of the Madden cycle every season. You're going to have a lot more teams that are disinterested. You're going to have some guys who are just, waiting for the next Madden. Hopefully we're going to start to get some news on the next Madden.
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. And if it's good news, maybe it kind of gets some hype back into things. People get excited. People are ready to try and get their games in to get ready for the next one. So we'll see. I would guess that we still do manage to get in two more. I think that this season will pick up. I think this just ended up being a busy weekend personally. Like I know it was for me. I missed the whole off season. I didn't see one move. I made one draft pick. Couldn't make any trades. That's just the way it was. It sounded like it was like that for a couple of people. I know some guys are away. I'm hoping that was just a slow week and we'll be able to push through. But I'd still have my money on getting through two seasons, maybe at the cost of some extra sim games in season 8 it would be.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that Prime lets us stop July 3rd and then sit for possibly 5-6 weeks before you even get the new Madden. Forget starting the season or the cycle, because that's going to be
a couple weeks after that usually.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks later. So you're talking about 2 months without SML action. That ain't going to happen.
No shot. No
so
chance.
he's going to push for that second season. And if like you said, there'd be more simulations, that's going to affect evals. So you could have teams, if you can't fit that 24-hour advance or whatever, and you have a lot of games getting simmed, you could drop some eval spots. And now that he's going to a 10-point system as opposed to the 5-point system, these last 2 seasons are basically counting as double. So you can make or lose quite a bit of points over these last 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's actually something I didn't even consider that. That is a great point. And I think it is a good thing, because we do have some guys who joined late that I think do deserve some boosts in evals. So I think it's good they're going to have that opportunity. I'm thinking of guys like Finns. Obviously he came in late. He didn't have many chances to make up points. He's a guy I could see, the extra 2 seasons really benefiting. And I think that's a good thing in the grand scheme. So, I think that's a great point you brought up, and I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I guess tomorrow night we have the release of the first 10-point evals.
I've got my pitchforks ready.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of them. Definitely interested to see how that goes and the blowback Prime gets from that.
Always.
So that was one of my burning thoughts. My other one that I'll bring up, so we have some more stuff to talk about here. We don't want to let down our hour-long viewers. So I tried to trade
Everybody
Cleomac.
got so excited when it sounded like we were wrapping up.
Yeah, I know. So I tried to trade Cleomac this offseason. And I talked with a couple teams, and I think there's like two thoughts or two camps when it comes to this. So Cleomac, 87 overall, right? He's still got edge threat. He's still got no outsiders. He's his X factor. He's 35 years old, but with 2 seasons left, I was going for a top 15 pick. Like, there was no way I was moving him for anything less than a top 15 pick, because there's no way I was getting anything back close to that. And there was a lot of teams that were like, there's no way I'm moving a top 15 pick for Cleomac. He might retire. He could regress. What are your thoughts on trading for a veteran at this point of the season? Just kind of, what do you think about that?
Personally, I'm all for it. As far as draft picks go, and we've seen it in this Madden in general, even dating back to seasons 1, seasons 2, if you're drafting a guy who's normal dev, they are at a huge disadvantage right from the start. I drafted defensive tackles in the first season, the first 2 seasons, and they never ended up being useful because they just didn't dev. They couldn't get dev games. Trying to get a season dev bump is impossible without abilities for defense, defensive line specifically. I'm all for, especially this late in the game, trading picks for vets. I think they're going to benefit teams more than the rookies are. It's easy to fall in love with the rookies because it's like your own guy.
Yeah.
You love the thought that you can turn them into something because they're young. Realistically, not many of them are going to. not this late, especially not at normal dev, even star, honestly. So, if you've got an early pick and you're very confident the guy you're going to take is going to be a superstar guy, by all means, hold on to it. But me personally, I would have been trading picks for, anything I could get, really. And, you saw me do that last season with Fletcher Cox. He had gotten nuked with regression already, so it was pretty obvious he only had like one usable season left. And, I was told that I had to trade at least the first to get him, and so I did it. Do I think he was really worth the first? No. On the grand scheme of like the value of things, especially because Clink also took a superstar defensive tackle with that pick, so that kind of hurt. But that was a bummer. But I did it anyway because I just thought that Fletcher Cox was going to bring more to my team than the potential of a rookie was going to. Especially now that we're looking at 2 seasons left. I would have absolutely traded. I would have traded a top 10 pick for Cleomac, honestly, knowing that he has edge threat. I absolutely would have done it.
Yeah, I think it kind of made me laugh too when I watched the draft because I saw like defensive ends go in the first. I think it was like first 6 or 7 picks. There were 3 defensive ends, and the first overall pick was like 75 overall normal dev.
Yep.
And I just kind of laughed to myself, like he'll never be anything near Cleomac because we've only got 2 seasons left. Exactly. Had he even been 75 overall superstar, I don't think you'd have got him to anywhere near Cleomac before the cycle's over. Maybe sometime next season. But I just kind of laughed. I didn't even ask Figs. He had inquired about bringing Mac back, and I said you don't really have anything I'd want except the number 1 pick, and we just left it at that. He's been, ridiculed about his trading all cycle, so I didn't even ask for the number 1 pick. I just said you don't have anything outside of that pick, and we both kind of left it at that. That would have
been the most Figs move ever to have traded Mac seasons ago at the prime of his value. Get back. I don't even remember what he got, but I remember it not being all that great.
Sidney Jones and like pick 31 or pick 30, something like that. So
terrible.
Yeah, to then get him 2 years later or 3 years later for the number 1 pick.
Get him later for number 1. Yep. And that would have been so Figs.
And in my mind, though, I mean, it wouldn't have been a bad trade for him because you're getting, edge threat. You're getting an X factor defensive end.
Yeah, at this stage, not a bad trade.
But because he's the one that traded him away and would have got less
that makes
back,
it worse.
It would have been bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was like when the real life Texans were talking about trading Deshaun Watson for the pick that they had already sent to to basically get their own pick back from the Dolphins.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of, talking to a couple guys, we kind of came to the understanding, I guess, that there's two different mentalities at this late in the cycle. You got guys that are trying to win still, and then guys that are just trying to be interested enough to finish out the cycle. And so, adding Cleomac, that you have a chance to win some playoff games or better your team isn't really as appealing as maybe developing a rookie for 2 seasons and just the storyline that goes along with that, I guess.
Yeah.
But so that was my burning thought on that. And you actually just brought up another good topic regarding next year's team draft, right? So we're talking about defensive players and Mac and developing them out of the draft. How much do you think defense is going to play a factor in team selection for Madden 22? After we've seen how you almost can't develop guys if you don't draft them as superstars or at least star.
Yeah, it's tough to say because you just don't really know how the next game is going to play. If I had known, well, I wasn't going to have a choice. I was picking 31st. But hypothetically, if I was picking higher than 31st, if I had known this Madden was going to be the way that it was, I would have pretty much only looked defense in team draft. I would have taken a team that I knew had either an already very good defense or a defense that I was going to be able to turn into something fantastic with young developable players. You don't know how the next Madden's going to be, so it's tough to say how I'm going to value teams. I generally tend to look at what was really bad this Madden, and I assume that's what they're going to generally overcorrect and try and fix in the next one. So my thought initially is that I think defense is going to be a little easier next Madden than it was in this one, and that maybe you're going to want to get a team with a good passing attack just because running's been so easy. I would assume maybe they nerf that a little bit. They boost passing, but it's really all guesswork. And I don't remember, is the game out before we do team selection?
Yes. So the game comes out. We had the preseason tournament. I don't think you played in that, or maybe you did.
I signed up for it, and then I missed my first game.
Okay, yeah. So we did the preseason tournament that lasted like a week or so, maybe a couple days. I don't even remember. And then you had, God, it felt like forever, but probably a week or two where you're just playing with teams and whatever. And then we did the team draft.
Okay, so the game is out though.
Yeah, so I had played probably a good 20 games or so prior to the team draft. There were certain guys that I'd play every so often with different teams just to try out different stuff.
Yeah, so I think that'll depend on basically how much time do you have, and are you willing to put towards experimenting and trying to figure out the game. Obviously, like, Dan's going to get the game, and then he's going to go into a dark room and lock the door and just lab it for like 24 hours straight. And he's going to walk out of that room, with eye problems and with knowing exactly, the 7 best teams in the game. Other guys, they're going to get the game, they're going to play it a couple times, and they're just going to pick a team that looks fun. So, I think how much time you're willing to put into it is going to influence how you really select your team. Otherwise, you're probably just going to be picking a team because you think they look fun or you like the color of their uniforms.
Yeah, I've already decided it's Browns, Bears, or Jaguars just to spite you. But
yeah, mine's Jaguars or bust. And then if I don't get them, I'm just gonna hopefully that I develop a system to get myself a decent team.
Just go for your favorite color. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's kind of a good question too. Like you said, so this year it was run heavy. Would it be better to take a team that has like a Saquon Barkley, or because you can run with everybody, take a team that has a really good defense and a good passing game already, and then pick any running back out of the draft that's over a 91 speed and
right.
Turn him into a superstar within 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's really just, to me, it's trying to take a guess at what it is EA is going to do.
Yeah.
I've noticed they usually tend to try and correct the things that they messed up in the last one. Whether they do an okay job at that or not is a completely separate thing entirely. They usually don't. But generally, I tend to think that the new Madden is going to be not an opposite, but I think they try and correct things from the last one. So like I can see passing being a little easier in the next Madden and running be a little more difficult. So in that case, maybe it does make sense to take a team with a good running back, because you're probably not going to be able to run with any homeless guy you pick up off the street that has a fast 40 time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll be interested to see how it goes, especially I'm thinking maybe on Heat Check and some of the other shows, maybe we can kind of drum up some rivalries and see if guys will chase other guys into divisions and keep those rivalries for the cycle.
For sure.
But that'll put us right at 53 minutes. I think this is probably a good spot, unless you have a burning thought you'd like to bring up.
No, I'm all good. You got us covered.
All right, sounds good.
Getting myself prepped for first and goal.
Yeah, that's right. We got first and goal coming up in 2.5 hours. It'll be you, Prime, Dan, and Dump. So we'll see if we get some fireworks between Dan and Dump. It seems a lot of times when the camera's on, those big personalities and all the trash talking kind of disappears when you're not hiding behind the keyboard. So
that's not playoffs yet. We'll see a life-filled version of Dump.
Oh, they've been talking. Yeah, they've been talking quite a bit. So I'm excited. We even moved the time up to 6:30 just to make sure we could get Dan on and pair those two up. So I hope they don't disappoint.
I'm excited.
But all right, well, until next week, this has been Heat Check, and we'll hopefully be back next week.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat. Can I get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check? heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, check. Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check.